So the other day I got to meet John Rush, and we ended up having this hour and a half long Zoom call where we ended up just talking about some pretty interesting topics. And I wasn't really planning on making a video of our conversation. It was really just to get to know each other. And as we were kind of getting to know each other, I realized that we both shared a similar approach when it comes to certain things in business, in life, and just the processes when it comes to building things on the internet, and wanted to share this kind of raw and casual, unfiltered conversation where we are just two guys talking about directories. I also just want to take a quick moment and just thank you and everyone who watches my videos on directories. Not once did I plan on creating a personal brand or even a YouTube channel in 2025, but I guess more people are interested in this directory topic than I thought, and it's allowed me to meet people that I otherwise probably would never be able to talk to. So John is one of them. So I figured, why not extend the meaningful conversations and the learnings that I'm getting to the people who helped me get here in the first place. So in this conversation, we do talk about directories and our approach to thinking about directories, but we also talk about a lot more than that: mindset stuff, how the things we're trying to build go far beyond money and just kind of have a role in legacy. And at the very end, John shares his thoughts around LEO, which is LLM SEO, and a few different ways to get your website to be referenced when someone uses ChatGPT to look up information within your niche. So that's kind of what's on the menu. It's a little bit of everything. It's kind of different than the content that I usually put out. It's kind of beautiful to have this raw, unfiltered conversation that was never meant to be out. And the last thing is, because I had to cut a lot of this video out, I will be just kind of interjecting in certain areas just to set some context so you're not totally like, what the heck is going on? But yeah, with that, hopefully you enjoy this kind of intimate look into our Zoom call meeting.
I was always running startups with friends or with partners, and everybody would say, come on, directories are the yesterday's thing. Like, nobody make them today. It was cool yesterday, but not today. And it was like that for like 5 years. Until in 2023, I said, no, I want to start doing directories, because you all were saying that directories are going to be gone, and it's like there are too many of them, and they're still here, and every year there's some cool directory in there and here, and I'm not owning any of those cool directories, and then somebody else gets all the traffic. And so I built my first directory, which was all GPT, right after the OpenAI demo day, and then it kind of went super viral. And after that, I started doing a lot of directories. Yeah, and I didn't know, so I was surprised when I saw that you were doing that quite some while ago, from 2022, right?
Yeah, I started, I guess that was my first directory, but I've kind of been playing with SEO and website building for, I mean, probably like 5 to 7 years before that. So yeah, kind of like you, I never really considered directories as a viable option until I realized that, wait a minute, it's kind of the one moat where you can go small. If you're a beginner, you can go create, a couple $1,000 passive income. But then there's like your $50 million directories too. So it's kind of like, you can choose how big of a directory business you want to do. And I started building it in October 2022. And yeah, kind of like you, I had other businesses before. I had a footwear business. I was importing thousands of shoes from Greece and Portugal and Taiwan, and I imported it here in LA, and then I did that whole thing, and then I had another little business after that. But it wasn't until 2022 I really started going into content creation. I started like reviewing copy.ai, like right when they first came out, and then the founders
on YouTube.
I made like one of the first review videos, and it has like 50,000 views, and it was right when it came out, so everyone was like, oh, this is it, AI is coming. And sure enough, years later, it's I don't want to call them obsolete. They're just more niche and narrow focused into, I think, sales AI and that kind of stuff. But a lot has changed, and since then I built not a lot of directories. I think I have 6 right now, so it's not like I have a huge portfolio, but I'm kind of been spread spread across a lot of different things since making content.
Yeah.
But I co-built a SaaS because I'm a non-coder. I mean, I studied like marketing and information systems, so I did a little SQL
Yeah.
back in college, but that's that's pretty much as far as I got.
But you know the basics, right? Like the web, like HTML and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could read it and like understand it. If you asked me to, it's kind of like how like coming to America, like I can understand Mandarin really well, but if I try to call my grandma and speak Mandarin, I can't really speak very well. And it's kind of like the same way with coding. I can understand like kind of what I'm seeing, but if you ask me to go into you know, VS Code or something and start playing around, it's just no.
My main issue with directories now is that it is so I went in all in with directories at some point just because like they forced me to, because one went viral and the other went viral, and then people kind of asked for the course. So I never wanted to make a course, but then people just started asking very often, and it was all quite good. But then the whole directory thing became popular, like, and a lot of people entered space. So at the start, I felt like there were like 5 people in the world who did anything in that space. I mean, who built more than one directory. Like, there were very few people, and suddenly it's a lot of people, like a lot of boilerplates, a lot of tools, a lot of no-code tools, like a lot, like 100 of them. I created this Reddit for directory builders, and then every day I open and people launch some stuff for directory builders there, like some tools, and eventually it became obvious to me that the place is getting crowded, and when place gets crowded, the one who does the best quality and the best work kind of wins, and the rest will lose. And at the beginning, I was one of very few people in the space, and whatever you do, it was better than nothing for the audience, and then people were happy. And suddenly, there's a lot of offering from all the sites, and also, I started seeing more and more directory courses, and even from people who never made directories, because that's how it happens, right?
So some quick context for this next part. It's really more about mindset and what I was thinking when I first started a YouTube.
And when I set out to do this YouTube thing, when that kind of first video went out and I was like, okay, there's more interest here, I asked myself, how hard would it be to become like the best in the world at just educating people on directories? I actually don't think, like, because it's pretty narrow, it's like website development and then like directories, it's like a sub niche. I don't think it's that impossible to be like maybe top 3 in the world at least, but maybe number 1 is kind of who knows. But
I think, like you say, it's maybe possible 1, 2, 3. I think it's 100% possible to be number 1, and not in a visual way, but in a realistic way. It's possible because the competition is not high enough. So it's the space where there is high competition,
right.
and all the competitors are the old generation. I know the competitors, but they're kind of the old generation, and I think the market wants the new generation to be owning this thing and to kind of promote this thing, and they will be willing to enter this boat, not the other boats. So it will be also easier. Like for us, it's just easier. We're luckier because we're new and fresh people for this. But also, it's just more fun to try to win the thing. So like one thing is just to build something, and then it like I thought that my own part, like I have some stuff for directories, and my directory guide is selling every day, and then the tools are selling. So it all looks good. So from this realistic perspective, it's very good business. I have good income from it, but from other hand, it's nothing remarkable there. It's nothing spectacular. It's just I wouldn't say I would be proud of this whole thing when I'm like 70 years old, right? And it kind of bothers me because I know what to do. I know that it's possible to turn this into something that you can be proud of. But then there needs to be more work done, and especially on the part where I just can't spend that time. And so I think if that's your goal too, like not just building, nice revenue thing, but actually almost like a legacy. So owning the space completely all over the world, not just the US, not just international, but the whole world, all countries. I think that could be cool because that's how I see it.
So from there, we kind of transitioned to the topic of directories and why we think thinking is the most time consuming part. And you know in your gut that it's a good idea, but you need to take necessary steps and just think about all the different angles, research your competitors, and make sure that it's worth going for.
I like to spend a lot more time just thinking, like what it's like, and really what I'm spending most of my time thinking is the same way I approach the directories. Is like I found the dog park niche early January, but why did I just decide to build it yesterday? Well, I spent like probably an embarrassing amount of hours just reading through Reddit posts and like looking at my competitors and reading the comments and the UGC and the reviews in the competitor directories. I'm like, okay, is this actually a problem we're solving? Like, or does the existing tools just do the job? And like, is it actually worth it to do this? And so that's actually the most time consuming part. The scraping, enriching, the implementation, that's so easy nowadays. But like,
yeah, it's interesting. Like I have the same thing. So I spend like month or years thinking, and then people ask, like, how long does it take to succeed? And I'm like, well, from the moment I started building and I built it, it was pretty fast. But before that, I just thought about it for 6 months, and I didn't know how to evaluate this time where I was just thinking about it. And, I was just, whenever I scroll Twitter and I see something, and then I add up to my this idea and shaping, and eventually I know, all right, so this directory has to be all around this point. So I have to sort it by this. This is the most important missing information about this type of item that people can't find anywhere. And if I put it all in one place, then people can actually judge the whole list in a really good way. Right? And it's really hard to explain this, as I'm still struggling. A lot of people just come with idea now and they're like, all right, here's idea. I'll go build it. I'm like, sleep on it.
So for this next part, we were talking about content creation, and I share some ideas around future content ideas that I have. And that conversation kind of turned into this topic around how to make directories, which is pretty boring in general, into something that's entertaining, that's fun to do. And when it's entertaining, it basically helps you stay in the game.
Yeah, I have a ton of amazing content ideas that I want to build in the future to gamify it a little bit, make it like a video game. Like one of them I want to do is like coder versus non-coder. Like this is the title: coder versus non-coder. Who can build the better like directory in 7 days or something like that? And so it's basically like an evergreen idea you can keep repeating with a different niche, and it doesn't even matter if it makes money. It just matters about what skills benefit the coder and what skills benefit the coder, and then like you can just simply replace the variable will be the me, the non-coder, and then someone else, and then the variable is also the niche. So it's like a limitless, like it's a lot of work to film and actually like get it together from a production standpoint, because the coder has to basically vlog and like document their process. But yeah, just a lot of interesting things, because content creation is a little bit like, okay, you have like your content that's casting the wide net, that's kind of designed to attract new viewers. So maybe it's not so like in depth. And then you have your lower viewership videos that are just for your loyal fans that when you publish it, it's probably only going to get a few thousand views, but it's going to be very loyal people. But this is a new category I'm thinking about, which is like, it almost applies to both. And that's the big challenge. How do you actually cast a wide net, but like still provide value to those loyal people where they're learning something new every time, or at least getting entertainment? And the entertainment part is the part where like, even if you know everything, you're still interested in watching the video, because
Yeah.
you want to see what happens at the end. And so like that's what I think about in a content creation perspective. And right now I'm just getting the basics out. Like I have my evergreen stuff. I have a whiteboard here that's like, oh, off page link building. Yeah, that's no, but you can only talk about that for like 1 or 2 videos. Then like what else? You know?
Yeah.
So
I mean, with the entertainment, it's interesting. So I see the same. So I apply the same rules for products. So I think that the number one reason people sign up for a product is to be entertained. I even think that most directory builders will enter this whole thing to be entertained, because in most cases, and I see that from the audience, it's in most cases these people have their income from somewhere and they want to do something on their own terms once in life. They always dreamt about it, or they tried and now they want to try it again. And just being in the process is so entertaining for them. And then all the tool and we have to do is to make sure that they don't fall off the process, so that it's like one thing at a time, and then it's not too complicated, not too easy, so that it feels interesting, but if it doesn't feel so overwhelmed that they can postpone it for the future. And then in this kind of entertainment, some people will actually build something cool. It's same like with the YouTube videos. So most people just entertain themselves watching even the educational videos, but some actually learn. And you don't know, even the person who is being entertained doesn't know whether he or she will just take the entertainment out of it, or they will actually learn and apply it. And I think that's that also opens up the market for such a large audience. I think the audience for directories might be even bigger than the audience for anything else, than for SaaS or agents and all those things, because it's way harder to convince someone who has main job to start building SaaS, and it's way easier to convince them to build a directory. And also the success factor is different for somebody. I see that like people build directories and they get some traffic from Google and they're so happy. And I'm so happy because I see that these people have never had any kind of success in their life, and now they have traffic from Google, and but they didn't know they should actually measure the traffic from Google, because unless you tell them that connect Search Console, and then they see impressions. Impressions come before clicks, but it's cool because they already see some progress, right, with impression. Because if you only put analytics, then it's only clicks, and clicks come way later than you get the impressions, right? And it keeps them moving forward. And that's kind of the gamification of the process, and making it entertaining might unlock like a million people, like millions of people could be using this, millions. And that's why, like, whenever I think about it, I feel like this directory game should be played with the goal of making a huge thing and also good impact, like basically letting a lot more people in the world run a little own business that, for some locations, just $300 a month is amazing money, by the way. And we know that that's kind of not something only like the talented people can do. Like it's a lot of people can do.
It's so I mean, even
and
$100 a month is like pretty freaking easy. Like I've
Yeah.
like my failed websites are just on Mediavine. They're doing like just $120 a month. But for someone who's never made their first dollar online, I mean, that's gotta feel electric.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to anywhere outside of Western countries, that's meaningful money. Like people will be proud about that, and also that's enough money to stay in the game and do
Yep.
more work and build more stuff. And I think that's kind of the cool part here, that if this thing is done really well, first it's more entertaining for us. It becomes a cool project rather than just kind of a project. And then second is that the legacy of this will be bigger, because we will actually help people who otherwise probably wouldn't be receiving, not the help, but we will kind of include more people into the game. And I really get inspired when I think about that there are like millions of people who can be included into the game, and the they get some part of the pie as well. Small part, like it's an invisible part on the global scale, but on a local scale for them, it's quite a lot and cool. So I think like that's kind of the end of this project in my head. And if that's not the end, then I don't see why it's a cool project, because then it's just like project to make some money, but it's not that interesting.
All right, here's some final context for this last section, but we were kind of talking about why we believe directories are here to stay. And John kind of shares his thoughts and theories around why directories are just going to grow with the advancement of AI and LLMs. And that's kind of this last section.
When I think of directories, I literally think of, like, I don't know if you have all you can eat buffets in Istanbul, but it's like
No, I remember the ones in the US where I ate a lot, especially the ones where they have a lot of fish and sushi and things like that.
That's what I think about. And I think, like, even though it's getting more crowded with more builders, it's like when people say drop shipping is dead, it's like, dude, you realize drop shipping is just e-commerce. It's just describing the process in which e-commerce is played out. But the e-commerce has been growing at a staggering rate for the last 20 years, like unbelievably high. So, directories is just the method of creating the website. It's just the model. It's just, it's just a website. And if websites are around,
yeah, exactly,
directories will be around. So
yeah, and also, like, whenever people think that like LLMs will kill the whole thing, and I'm always thinking that LLMs make it easier to find information, but it just means that the quality of information goes up everywhere, and then if people need high quality information, they don't need just higher, but they want the highest. So people they want to go somewhere where this topic has the best quality information, right? And it's always floating, like today the best one is this, but then it's growing. And once the LLMs are able to give you the information that's almost the same as it was on directories, but now directories can give you way better because they also benefit from all this. And we're seeing that now, like in these 3 years, we saw that when there's kind of this race where once LLMs can do something, and then people realize that, wow, now my demands grow, so I want more from this. And now they go back to that place, and that place has to offer better quality, right? And it's kind of moving together, and same with directories. So we saw pretty good, directories 3 years ago, some of them were just winning just because they had some items, not even all, not rich data, just some, because that was the only place to find. And now if you want to have some items, like some low quality data, you get it from LLM. But that's why directories that are winning, they're having really good data, right? And that means that you have to make better directories. And then you're ahead, because LLMs will be always lagging behind, because they can't put so much kind of effort into building up the data as you do, because you have just one directory, you have all the time you have, and you have all the research you can do, and LLM can just do something quick right now. And so I think it's pretty safe from that point. And even more than that, I like my big prediction about LLMs is that at some point, like now, if I search LLMs and they have this deep search where they go around internet and do a lot of searching to give me some information, and that costs a lot of time. It takes like 50 seconds, and it's like impossible to wait. And also it costs a lot of money for LLMs. And LLMs would prefer to actually go into one place that's knowingly great for that topic, and just pick it from there, and just be a proxy, so that the user doesn't have to. But I think if that happens, then LLMs are also showing the source where they took the data, like with Reddit now, right? And then when they show the source, in most cases, people want to judge for themselves, because they see that it's a place that's specifically for this topic, and they will click and go there because it kind of makes sense for them to see more in depth what exactly was there, like why that item, not this item. And in most cases, it's subjective choice. Like you look at that and you pick something. So I think directories are actually going to be benefiting from LLM search more than blogs, because with the blog, if LLM is saying something and linking to a blog, there's not really high chance you'll click the original blog item, because it's just roughly intersecting with your query. Where if you ask where the dog parks in my town, and then it says here dog park, and I took it from here, there's almost 100% chance you will click and go and watch the directory yourself and see what dog parks are there, and then filter and things like that. Yeah.
100%. I'm trying to figure out right now why one of my websites is like right now I'm just like very interested in LLM SEO, because that's the only thing that I see will be another challenge for people in the future. But one of my websites is like the first website referenced for like it's a niche, but it's a decent niche. And I'm trying to reverse engineer it and ask,
why is it in there? Yeah.
People are saying, oh, you just need to rank on Bing search because that, and I'm like, I think it goes way beyond that. I think you have to, like you said, dominate every query that comes in related to that niche to a point where there's no question based on, this probably plays with, the organic search rankings, which is then influenced by user metrics, average duration, click-throughs, just overall engagement. So I think, just trying to figure it out, because I think that's going to be interesting in the next few years too.
Yeah, there are like two answers on that. So if people use LLM without internet access, like just pure LLM, and LLM only uses its training data, and then training data is a set they took from somewhere. Right? And then the question, what's the set? And every LLM has their own set. For example, OpenAI used a lot of Reddit, and they use it over and over again. They have a deal with Reddit for like $1 billion deal. It means that you have to be on Reddit 100% to get into the LLM training set. And you can verify that. You can actually verify. Like for me, it was easy to verify because I have a lot of products, and I ask about all the products, and it knows about some, it doesn't know about the others. And then there's 100% correlation that those that are known are also on Reddit. I had them there. So, but today we have a web search tool within LLMs. So Grok on X, and almost all of them are using it, Perplexity and OpenAI. And in that case, they use regular search, just the same regular search. OpenAI uses Bing because they have a deal with Microsoft. So they just do Bing search. They take top 10 answers or 20 answers or 15 answers, and they crawl the data from those sources, and they put that all into the context, and then they answer. So, which means, and Grok does it the same thing with tweets. So it kind of finds the tweets. Which means that if you want to play the game really, really well, you have to be A, on Reddit, B, on top of the Bing, C, on top of the Google, and D, on top of social media search. So that like a tweet on the internet where somebody asks what are the best dog parks, and somebody has to answer, and then there has to be a link to you or description of you. So if you do all this, then you're kind of good for all LLMs. And there's no more than that. So that's kind of that's simple. Like there's a lot of discussions and people try to reverse engineer, but the basic part is that. But more complicated part is like when it picks 15 results from the top of Google or Bing, it doesn't really take the content from all 15. It opens all content, but then it picks some parts of it, or some limited parts, or maybe it skips some, and then it doesn't trust the ranking, so it doesn't just pick the top one. because then it's easy to manipulate it. So it has some rules to pick one versus the other. That's more complicated because that's just prompting. We have no idea what prompts are there that do that. Like you have to really look into the prompt, and it says, and prompt can change because this part is not part of training. This part is just prompt that's live, and then they can change it tomorrow, and then the whole logic you have is broken. But the basic part is pretty good. So it's Reddit, and is just being on top of SEO. So basically, SEO today brings you LEO2. It wasn't the case yesterday because these LLMs didn't use search for a long time. They just started using search like 3 months ago. But now they use, and now it's almost equal. So
yeah, that's an interesting. Basically, like I think LLMs see user-generated content as a very as kind of like the only sign that something stores value, because if people are engaging on Reddit, mentioning a
yeah,
tool,
of course.
Twitter,
It's
so
harder to manipulate too. They understand that it's harder to manipulate than.
Yeah, and if no one's talking about it, I mean, well, if your directory in this case is like quality, there will be UGC, and that will be picked up as a signal for the LEO or whatever.
Yeah.
So kind of, at least in my mind, it sounds like like these forums and user-generated content is the metric almost that is mattering the most.
Because also for SEO, that's where they're heading. Like I've clearly seen the impact of viral tweets on the SEO. Like whenever I had a viral tweet for my directory, it just jumps out with traffic the next day. Yeah, it takes just a day. It's so fast because I guess Google has a quicker reaction for social media content, because also social media content has time frame thing. Like it
All right, so that pretty much wraps it up, and those are pretty much the juiciest parts of our conversation that I wanted to share with you. If you enjoyed it, let me know, because I'm kind of curious if this was different in a good way or different in a not good way. I know I talk a lot about directories here, and I love doing that too, but the truth is I love the game of business so much because I'm curious what works, and I'm just curious what people are building out there. So anyways, you kind of saw that in this conversation. So yeah, just curious on that. But with that, guys, I appreciate you watching. And again, thank you so much for your support. I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.